House.
Welcome to a special holiday edition of Back of the House. On Wednesday, December 13th, Muffins on Main celebrated its first anniversary of serving homemade muffins, scones, cookies, and other delightful bakery items, as well as serving coffees and teas and ciders, homemade marshmallows, and more to the residents of Westford. To honor the shop's special milestone and the Christmas season, Pam the baker created a gingerbread house, replicating the building where Muffins on Main is housed, the 1836 Wright and Fletcher General Store. WestfordCAT stopped by earlier in the month of December to watch Pam in action in the back of the house. She explains here how she creates such a stunning replica.
So first I had to make the template for the house. So this is a replica of this part of 40 Main Street, so the part of 40 Main Street that houses Muffins on Main. And so I wanted it to look as realistic to the building as I could. So I made all the pieces, and I think there were 27 pieces that I had to cut out between the roofs, the front, the back, the sides, each of the windows, and the roof parts, the window part, the deck. So there are a lot of pieces, and then just keeping them all straight. And part of the fun thing I like about gingerbread houses is making all the little details that make it exactly like the way the building is. So our new sled is there. We have the Mutts on Main dog bowl. I made the lights. I've got the window on the side and the little deck right there. So when I make the gingerbread, the only thing that's different is I don't add the leavening, because when you add baking soda or baking powder, it puffs up, and so it's a little bit nicer to eat, but it distorts the shapes when I cut them out. So I roll them out, and I had to roll quite a big piece to get this building, because this front of the building goes all the way down on the inside. So first I built the house structure, and then I let it rest and made sure that it was nice and firm before I added the porch element to it. And the last thing I add is the roof. And then I let it sit for a day or so, and then I go out and gather candies. So these little peppermint candies, I made the sidewalk, and these little nonpareils, I made the walk out to the back, and I found spearmint leaves, and I cut them in thirds lengthwise, and that's what sticks to their ice cream cones underneath the trees. And so I get the basic shape, and then we stuck all the trees together. And then I found these chocolate covered sunflower seeds work really well for Christmas tree lights. So it's just fun to try and make it as festive and as pretty, but make it look like what it is, what it's supposed to be, and that's 40 Main Street. So the only thing that I should have done is I should have painted the door red before I put it on. And I wasn't that far along. I should have thought of it, and I should have flooded it red. But so it's not red, but darn it. And the glass inside is gelatin sheets. Most professional bakers use gelatin sheets rather than powdered gelatin. It melts better. It's not as grainy. I have a few more things that I want to do to the front porch. I think I'm going to just glaze the front porch so that it sets it apart, because right now it's just a little bit too much brown. And I need to add some icicles to the front, and just a little bit more decoration on the sides, just for fun. So, and then we'll put it in the window.
I asked Pam how she got started baking.
I started just baking at home. My mother had 5 kids, and so she always had things, cookies and brownies and sheet cakes, and there was just always something to eat. And so I did a lot of baking when I was a kid. And then at some point when I was in high school, I wanted to decorate cakes, and at the time, the only thing out there was the Wilton kits, where you'd buy star tips and you'd just do stars all over the cake. And so I bought a Holly Hobby cake pan, and I put stars all over it. And that's what I thought what decorating was. But then when I was married and we lived in Alabama, I took a Wilton class at a J.C. Penney, and that's when I first started decorating cakes. And I decorated cakes for friends and people, and for a long time. But at the time, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were big, and I got tired of decorating Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cakes and Rainbow Bright. When we were first married, we lived in New Orleans. I made my first wedding cake for a caterer in New Orleans. So that was really my first time doing cakes, was in New Orleans. The fun thing is that I live in Sherman Dewey Fletcher's house across the street at 33 Main Street. And Sherman Dewey Fletcher ran this space when it was the country store, the general store. So he and I have the same commute. So I think I probably beat him to work because I get to work about 4:15 in the morning.
Pam explains how she and Ellen Harde collaborated on opening Muffins on Main.
Well, Ellen and I have been neighbors for 12 years. And, I'd go over and chat and have tea and visit, and we'd talk. They knew I worked at Kimball's, and I'd talked about opening a food truck and doing muffins out of a food truck or something like that. So they knew that I was thinking about starting my own business, but I didn't know how to do it or what to do. So when they bought this building, they said, "Hey, do you want to put a muffin shop in number 6 over at 40 Main?" And so I said, "Well, if you'll partner with me and we could do it together, then maybe we can make it work." So that's when the idea was planned, and then we kind of had to go through the process with the town to see how we could do it. It's kind of scary. But with Mike and Ellen, you just keep going on. You just encounter a problem and you plow through. So that's what we did. And they were the ones who, I was just so scared. And so they were like, "All right, we just got to open." I was like, "I don't know if we're ready. So December 13th last year, we opened. And it's been a whirlwind ever since. And the best part is that at first Ellen was like, "Oh, I'll come over and help you when you first start." And she just loved it so much. She apparently had a conversation with Mike. "All right, I think my life is going to change because I really like being at the shop." So she works whenever I ask her to, or whenever she can, and on Wednesdays. So that's fun. That's a lot of fun.
And apparently fun it sure is for both of these talented and visionary women. Muffins on Main is open Tuesday through Friday from 6:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m., weekends from 7:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m., and they are closed on Mondays. If you'd like to see the 1836 Wright and Fletcher General Store gingerbread house replica, it's on display at Muffins on Main, 40 Main Street in Westford, just steps from the town common. Stay tuned to WestfordCAT for future episodes of Back of the House. For WestfordCAT, I'm Patty Stalker.